and national forests. Volunteer SAR teams had begun to organize, all with good intentions, but little money and training. When the Park Service finally began training their own, Chris was one of the first to volunteer. Her training took her from the classroom deep into the backcountry, and she finally found what she had been looking for when she joined the Forest Service. Now nearly all of the national parks had full-time search and rescue teams, but national forest land was still mostly volunteers. Roger had finally persuaded his managers at Lake Tahoe that the Sierra Ranger District warranted its own SAR, and he had called Chris away from Yosemite, luring her with the promise of uncrowded trails and little or no crime. He didn't have to ask twice. She finished her beer and tucked the empty bottle back inside the cooler. As she passed Dylan's cage, she stuck a finger inside to scratch his head, then withdrew quickly as he threatened to bite. Okay, let's see if we can find the elusive 740 so we can get this tiger out of his cage. She brushed her fingers through her hair and shoved the sunglasses back on before heading along the bumpy road, her frustration over Roger's earlier directions fading. 45 minutes later, she pulled in front of the ranger station, a charming log building tucked neatly into the forest. She looked back over her shoulder, the dust just settling back on the dirt road, and she watched a large white dog run along the edge toward town. She noticed only a handful of cabins along the road, and she supposed the main part of Sierra City was at the other end of town, toward Sacramento. Chris tried to straighten her wind-blown hair with her fingers, then gave up. She must look a sight, and she bent down to look into the side mirror. Jesus, she murmured. But there was little she could do about her appearance at this point. She gave Dylan's cage a gentle shake. Just a little longer, Tiger. She walked into the ranger station and watched the different groups of tourists milling about. Only a few gave her curious glances, and she went to the counter, impatiently tapping her fingers while she waited for the receptionist to finish restocking the brochures. May I help you? Chris offered her a quick smile and glanced around again, hoping Roger would show his face. Maps and pictures of the local wildlife lined the walls, and both were for sale on a rack in the corner. A topographical map was taped on the counter. It was faded from too many fingers running across its surface, looking for hiking trails and cross-country ski routes. Before Chris could answer, the radio scanner broke with static before a voice came on, calling the county sheriff to a minor traffic accident on Highway 89. I'm looking for Roger Hamilton. Chris finally replied. I'm sorry, he's out on the trails. Can I help you with something? I'm McKenna. Chris, she said, sticking out her hand. He's expecting me. Oh, the new search and rescue. You're the one that got lost, she stated, but gave Chris a firm handshake. Chris smiled briefly. His directions left a lot to be desired. Well, I'm glad you finally made it. We were all pretty excited to learn we were getting our own SAR. I'm Kay, by the way. I tend to the paperwork around here. Chris nodded. Any idea when Roger will be back? No, a group of scouts came out on Monday and we're short-handed, what with Matt being sick. Mr. Hamilton went around to check on them. Great. He gets me lost for 2 hours and bails on me. But she softened her words with a quick smile. Listen, I'd about kill for a shower. Any idea where I'll be staying? Oh, yes. Mr. Hamilton has a cabin rented for you. Pine Ridge Cabins, only about a mile out of town. I'll call for you and let them know you're on the way. Thanks. I'd appreciate it. Kay went to her desk to call and Chris walked to the wall, studying the map tacked there. She had been in Yosemite the last 5 years, knew the trails like the back of her hand. She hated the thought of starting over, but at least she knew Roger. He would make it okay. She listened to Kay on the phone, thinking it would be different living in such a small town. She had only worked in national parks before, where the only full-time residents were Forest Service and the summer concessionaires. Everyone generally went about their own business, all too busy to worry about their neighbors. But here in this small town, everyone knew everyone else, and no doubt they all kept tabs on each other. You're all set, Chris. Ruth has your cabin all cleaned and ready. Keep going towards town and turn right on Spruce. It's well before you get into town. The office is about a mile down that road. Ruth will give you directions from there. Thanks so much. I'll be back later to check in with Roger. Following Kay's directions, Chris found Spruce Street easily, thinking it was aptly named as the boughs of the trees covered the road, blocking out the sun in places. She pulled in at the first road. A sign